So Criterion have announced their last 4 releases of the year. All 4 of them were films I hadn't seen before. I did watch 2 of them because 2 of them are on the Criterion channel. Symbiocytotaxoplasm and Mouchette. I will talk about these 2, but the one I would like to focus on the most is Crash. Because as you know, Arrow will also be releasing this, but on a 4K UHD disc. So here's the artwork for Symbiocytotaxoplasm. Looks like it's just a screenshot, but it's very creative with all the lines representing the symbiotic relationship of the players culminating right to the director. And it's a brilliant film. It's a very intricate film. It's a very layered film. It's a film about making film. Not really, I wouldn't say it's so much about making a film, because what they're shooting in the film is not going to actually be put together as a narrative story by itself. The narrative is the experimental documentary style film. And the reason it's so good is that Bill Greaves was not a first-time director. He knew what he was doing. What's wonderful is how well everything meshes together. You know, he's got, most of it is probably somewhat fictional. It's set up by him, all the tension that you get from the actors and the crew who are wondering, does he know what he's doing? What are we doing? You know, and here's one really interesting part about the movie, actually. You ever notice when you watch behind the scenes of other films, it looks almost exactly like this. This one was meant, of course, to look a little more, disorganized, but just the way the discussions are, and sometimes the high tension and some of the apprehension. Bill Greaves is also wearing the camera on sort of it seems like sort of a makeshift Steadicam, actually. This is about 8 years, I think, before Steadicam was actually invented, but he's got it on his shoulder, he's got something strapped. For this film, I only watched take 1, and as you can see, it says 2 takes by William Greaves, because it has Symbiocytotaxoplasm take 1 and Symbiocytotaxoplasm take 2.5, which is something he did with Steven Soderbergh. He mentioned to Steven Soderbergh, yeah, I'd like to revisit it and do, Symbiocytotaxoplasm take 2.5. Steven Soderbergh said, yeah, sure. This I have not watched yet, but it's also on the Criterion channel, so I'll probably watch that at some point. This one doesn't have a whole lot of special features on it, in fact, all of which are on the Criterion channel. Sometimes they don't have all of them, but here they do. It's just discovering William Greaves. It goes from his early years as a stage actor up until take 2.5. And then you've got an interview with Steve Buscemi. I didn't watch that one. Then you've just got the trailer, and then you've got an essay by Amy Taubin, who very, very well known. Now, Mouchette is also the other film that I watched on Criterion channel today. It actually reminded me a lot of Panique when I watched it. They're both, the pacing is very similar, the ambiance is very similar. They're both about people who you would consider outsiders and kind of outcasts in a way. This story is a lot more tragic, I would say. Panique does have a tragedy to it, but I would still say this is far more tragic than Panique. It's still a wonderful film, and I've got to check out more from Besson. Now this film, Amores Perros, from Alejandro G. Iñárritu, I've not seen. In fact, I believe The Revenant is the only film of his I have seen. This is also not on the Criterion channel. You can tell because it doesn't have the Criterion channel logo down here. See again, new 4K digital restoration supervised by director Alejandro G. Iñárritu. But no 4K disc. Now I really like the artwork on this because the title of the movie means Love Dogs. And the image on the front is it looks like a dog, but it's kind of half dog, half dragon. So I'm very interested in seeing this one. I might get this when it comes out. Okay, now as for Crash, as I mentioned, Arrow Video is also releasing the title on 4K UHD. So still, Criterion is not doing this. They're just releasing a standard Blu-ray with a 4K restoration of the film. I know a lot of people have been saying, you know, their apprehension or their lack of intention to jump into 4K or jump into releasing 4K discs will kind of leave them behind. And yeah, I think it will. It kind of won't. It won't with me, because I'm still going to buy their stuff. It's Criterion, and I love their presentation. Their transfers still look absolutely beautiful. It doesn't matter if it's on a 4K disc. No matter how much I love the 4K format, and I really, really do, you know, I'm not going to stop buying those. I'm not going to stop buying Criterion. But if Criterion keeps releasing movies like Crash or The Elephant Man that are on 4K Blu-ray somewhere else, then I think that's probably going to hurt them. So there are Criterion's final releases for the year. Some people are probably still a little disappointed that there's no 4K UHD disc. It's a little odd considering that they are still releasing films that have a 4K restoration, but still on a standard Blu-ray disc. I respect the fact that they don't release 4K UHD discs though, because they have so many films in their collection, and I know people would just be clamoring to get new releases from them. I know I'll keep supporting them, but will you? I'd like to know. All right, thank you.